Welcome to Save Point Sass, where every checkpoint comes with hot takes, chaotic tangents, and a little bit of shade.
Two queer gamers, wildly different play styles. Breaking down what we're playing, what's going on in gaming culture, and what deserves a health potion or a rage quit.
This is Save Point Sass. Load in, level up, and stay petty.
Welcome back, Shawn.
Welcome back. We're here to take two. Try another round of news. Let's see what
Well, things happen, and just like Take-Two is taking an opportunity to delay GTA 6.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're on it. So that's the big news this week. I think a lot of people were skeptical about what was happening with GTA 6. We hadn't heard anything in a while. And what do you know?
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Girl.
Getting delayed to next year.
Two pieces of news, right? First, they released the release date getting delayed by a year. What did we think of that?
I think that a lot of people looking at how big the project is and, you know, the scale of the project and how ambitious they were with graphics, like what we saw in the first trailer. A lot of people were speculating that maybe the game wasn't going to make it this year anyway.
Because we hadn't seen any trailers or we hadn't seen any screenshots other than that first trailer that was initially released.
Yeah, the reveal trailer.
3 years ago, right?
Yep.
So people might have been expecting this delay.
I think that some people, industry people, maybe were expecting the delay or starting to become concerned. I think, though, that Rockstar was trying to signal, no, it's this year. It's happening. That's it. And I think a lot of developers, etc., were holding back their game announcements for later this year because of that. So I think that some people thought it could happen because of the ambitiousness of the project, the scale of the project. But I think that gamers were surprised. I was surprised.
Yeah, I was personally surprised. It seemed like things were on track based on just... Or, I mean, it's confusing because they haven't really said much, right? So maybe that was indicative of it being delayed. I'm wondering, why is the delay? Some people are saying that it's for the story mode. Some people are saying it's for the online mode. Some people are saying it's just because of, like, behind-the-scenes logistics or...
I think that's a great question.
Battling empires within the company.
I think that's a great question. You know, why it's delayed? Because, you know, they give us this new trailer, and it's a substantial trailer. It's a long trailer, and then additionally they updated.
Well, it's interesting because they you're talking about the first trailer or the second trailer?
This new trailer. So they released a new trailer a week after they released the news of the extension date. You think that was intentional, or they first dropped down the news of the additional date and then I think it was very intentional, the new stuff that they released, because the new trailer is substantial, and also they completely revamped the website for the game, and it features almost 100 new screenshots. So I think, you know, they announced a delay. They also provide us with all of this new content, basically saying, no, the game it's ready enough.
It's ready enough.
Yeah, it has all this stuff, you know, already done that you can see, you can look through. It's just that we're taking our time because, you know, we know that timing has to be right with this, but also we know that we have your attention and we can take our time.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter when we release it. When we do, you're going to buy it.
Right. I mean, I think it was smart of the way they did it, right? First, announce the delay. Let everyone understand that there is a delay.
Yep.
Let that anger simmer, right? And then once it's dying down, release the trailer.
But I don't think anyone was angry. I think that there were a couple of rumblings of a delay, maybe a couple of weeks before the announcement. And I think maybe that kind of manifested in people when it finally was announced, being like, okay, we're just going to have to wait a little bit longer. But I think that most gamers know that the product is going to be good, that the game is going to be good.
Yeah.
So they're okay, like, take your time.
Yeah.
Also, I think with the controversy over game prices right now, And, as we talked about in a previous episode with $80 games by now even Nintendo, and the rumors that this game would be, $100 or more, I think gamers are like, well, okay, game price is going to be up. Take your time. Let me save a couple more coins.
I mean, one thing that was not in the trailer was anything about price.
Yep.
So they're still keeping that door open. Which
Yeah.
is interesting. But yeah, I think people are excited now that they've seen the trailer. We got some extra time to get pumped, to see more, to fantasize. I'm already seeing people critique like every screenshot, see what are the Easter eggs that are being hidden. Lots of like references to in-game companies and seeing who connects
because
with who.
we're revisiting Vice City, so
Right.
this is stuff we've seen before.
So I think as people continue to dissect the trailer, as people continue to dissect more of the trailers that are coming up, I'm excited to see all this passion that goes into the game.
Yeah.
Which I think is it's a consistent theme, right? Is that what we really appreciate on this podcast is when we see developers who put their heart and soul into the game.
Yeah.
Right, and it's a little bit tougher when you have these AAA massive blockbuster games. So it's interesting to see these little details as well to show that there is a lot of care and a lot of fun to be had.
And I think, they definitely are paying attention to social media and impressions so far. I know with the first trailer, they had the Florida man, who was very recognizably inspired by a real person. And this time, actually, somebody that I'm kind of associates with who makes music saw the trailer and he was like, okay, this person in the trailer is a musician and they look just like me. Like, are they scouring the net and kind of like trying to bridge that connection even stronger between the players and the people who love the game and who may be excited about the game, and then also the end product? Are they taking this time to actually curate and introduce even more people or more references into the game? And if they are, I think that's a great idea. And also that would allude to the fact that, the most popular feature of GTA 5 is the online component, where you get to, make your character and live out your virtual life to its fullest. So I think that maybe it's alluding to the fact that, the online component is coming and will play a major part and will be robust. So, yeah, super excited to see that aspect of the game going forward since we've seen base story already. So, moving on from that, what's the next topic?
Yeah, so we have some more news from Nintendo. We're getting bite-sized pieces of information as we're revealing more about how digital games are going to work, how sharing games are going to work, what's Nintendo's philosophy going to be moving forward. We know historically Nintendo's been very against, the modding community, hacking, homebrewing, and then they have just now announced, might be a clarification of what do they disallow with their consoles. And I think, Dee, you have a little bit more of what they exactly said, right? But of what did they say?
So basically, in some very thick legalese, they have given a strong warning to purchasers of Switch 2. With Switch 1, there's a situation at the end of its life cycle where a lot of people saw that the hardware was more capable than what we were getting out of games, right? So, there were certain clock speeds that were inaccessible to, third-party developers until very late in the game. And also the thermals were better than it seems that everybody thought previously. So a lot of homebrew developers were like, well, what can we make if we unlock the power of the Switch? Can we get 4K output on base Switch models? And I think this didn't make Nintendo very happy. And this time they're trying to get ahead of that type of activity by basically putting a strong warning in the end user agreement that, if Switch 2 owners modify their Switches in any way that they feel is odd, or anti-Nintendo or adverse to their mission, they're reserving the right, it seems, to brick the Nintendo Switch hardware. So could you imagine someone creates a little piece of code that maybe allows you to have folders, because we haven't seen folders in the UI yet. And you're like, okay, well, I'll just hook my Switch 2 up to the computer and I'll put this little 2 lines of code in that'll give me the ability to have folders to organize my games, or something so simple like that. And Nintendo can identify that as something that is harmful to their business, anti Nintendo, and brick your system, and basically it becomes a paperweight. You can't play games, you can't get online, you can't do anything.
A very expensive paperweight.
Yeah, very expensive paperweight. And from my perspective and my experiences with the Switch, and talking to people and looking online in the homebrew community and some of the interesting things they've been able to do, I think this is a bit of an overreach, preemptive overreach. We don't even know if Switch 2, what vulnerabilities it has, right? Nobody has it in hands yet. Nobody's done anything yet. So I think that coming out of the gate so sternly is kind of leaving a sour taste in my mouth and other gamers' mouth, because, it's just at their determination. What do you think about it? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about it?
Honestly, this feels like par for the course for Nintendo. Like, this is what we know of Nintendo. I think they're doubling down on this ethos of we don't allow anything that's not within our expectations, how we expected the game to be played, how we wanted the game to be played. And I think previously it was founded on this cultural aspect. I think now it's kind of being founded on this financial aspect of they're realizing the modding community might take away financially from what we're trying to deliver. So now you have both the people who are culturally driven to keep Nintendo's gaming pure, and there's no sidestepping of what we're offering. Now combining with the analysts and the financial whatever gurus at Nintendo saying people are modding their games and we're not getting any of that money. So I think this just aligns with that same philosophy.
So you feel okay that Nintendo has the ability to brick your hardware or brick your software, since now we have stuff like, those special carts where it's a digital product attached to the physical. Are you okay with Nintendo basically having the ability to come through and say, at the very least, well, this game doesn't work ever again, or, at the worst, your Switch 2 is not going to work ever again?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be painful to experience, and I think seeing this written as an actual thing, I think part of me felt like that was always a chance. Like, if you do something bad, if you do something illegal, Nintendo might, shut down your Nintendo account or stuff like that, right? So I think that was already implanted in my brain as something that could happen for people who are on the wrong side of piracy, or all these moddings and homebrew and whatnot, right?
So you're okay with it?
No, I'm not okay with it, but I'm like, oh, what is my recourse to not buy the game, right? Or to buy physical, maybe, right? Maybe this is the talking about our physical cards last week. Maybe this is making even more of a case for buying physical, which then maybe Nintendo's also degrading. So maybe you're just
I think you buy physical in a way to get around maybe the game being bricked, and then they just brick your system. I think in the past, if you played online and you had a modded Switch or were running homebrew, you would be banned from online, like you said, or your account would be banned. But I don't think that in recent times that your actual Switch would become unusable. So it'll be interesting to see after launch, how far this really goes. Is it just an empty threat at the beginning? A very severe but empty threat at the beginning to scare the modding community? Or do they actually start bricking people's systems, very early on. All
That's tough to
right.
say.
So on to our next topic, kind of unexpected. There's a beloved TV show running right now, maybe not continuing, which makes the story even more interesting. After 3 seasons, Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime is kind of in a little lull where we don't know if it's getting renewed. I love the show. And all of this clamor to get signatures for an online petition and to talk to the stars and the executive producers to get the show renewed, it's come out that there is a development studio working on a triple A title in the Wheel of Time universe.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
I think that shows how blurred the line is between.
Have you ever heard of Wheel of Time? Have you watched the show?
Yes, you have made it very clear how much you love Wheel of Time, and that's allowed me to get bits and pieces of the show.
You watched it?
I watched a couple episodes, maybe one episode at the very beginning, but I know that I'm not. I don't have too much.
You're not caught up.
I'm not caught up at all.
But isn't it so interesting that they're announcing a triple A game for a show that maybe a lot of gamers haven't watched?
Yeah, I mean, I think this aligns with like The Last of Us. What other games have this?
But The Last of Us was a
game
that sold like 15 million copies, 20 million copies before it ever became a show. I mean, this would be the inverse, where a show that has had actually a lot of international success.
Yeah.
But its U.S. success has been, top 10, but, not number one on the viewership charts. And now they're trying to spend, potentially $200 million, some astronomical amount, if they're saying AAA, to make an open world game for it. I think it's so interesting, and I don't know if it's some type of way to try to get the new audience engaged, because the world is very fantastical, and there's lots of room to show and give players incredible abilities, and the world is very varied, so lots of set pieces, etc. I don't know if it's like they think making a AAA game and spending $200 million will help more people want to watch the show or buy books rather than just spending $200 million on making more seasons of the show.
Well, this is interesting to me, right? It seems like we're getting pulled in two different directions for this IP, right? One, it seems like they're investing into it by creating these AAA games, putting their money where their mouth is. But then, on the flip side, the actual TV show is in limbo, right? It's requiring fans to, put these fan campaigns, change petitions to try to sway the networks from, or not sway them, because we don't know what the networks are going to do yet. So actually to put pressure on them to make the right decision to continue forward on the show. But you're also mentioning of like, maybe it is that the show gets canceled because they're investing into the AAA game.
Yeah.
So maybe there's only a certain amount of money that's available for this domain, and they're saying it's more lucrative to put this into AAA gaming versus another season of Wheel of Time. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
But this also shows where maybe there is like a colder take where we've lost the meaning of what we're doing here, which is culture and media, and now this is maybe finance driven. Of like, what's the best way for us to get 2x our money back? And we have this IP. Is it better to use it for a TV series or a gaming series?
And I do want to say that the show is pretty amazing.
Yes. So I think that's the unique part, is that the show actually is incredible from what you've described.
Yeah.
Both in story and visuals.
But it might not be making as much money as a game that they can... I think probably they're looking at something like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, Harry Potter sold in 1 month like 25 million copies, and we can sell it again and again and again on, each console, the next generation.
Monthly passes.
DLC, yes. And I think that The Wheel of Time, because the story is so huge and complex, and there's 16 books and there's hundreds of characters.
And it's a streaming show, right? So
yeah,
the tie to financial profit is indirect.
Yep.
Because you're buying subscriptions.
Which brings us, I guess, to the question, if this game were to be made and come out, would you be playing?
I would be playing, and I think a lot of people would be playing who are interested in understanding the story, who don't have the time to commit to commit to 3 seasons of the show, or
16 books.
Or 16 books, or even just access, right? These are on all these miscellaneous streaming services. This one's on Amazon, right?
Yep.
Do people have Amazon streaming services? Maybe if they don't, but they do have a computer or a PlayStation, they buy the game and they have access to the story.
You know, this move is reminding me of Dune.
Yeah.
We've had the 2 Dune movies, which were very successful, critically received very well. We love the experiences in 4DX, some of the most interesting 4DX experiences from Dune, especially the second one.
I mean, this just shows you how you have these stories that can be changed and tailored for all types of experiences, right? So Dune, which was a book, which then got transferred to a movie, which then got transferred to a 4DX
books.
Experience.
Right, 4DX experience, and now has 2 games. Actually, a game just came out, I think, Dune Awakening, or something, just came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it also is a maybe AA to AAA title. They spent quite a bit of money on it. And so it reminds me of that situation. I guess now, as we mentioned last time, gaming is the biggest medium on earth.
Yeah.
It makes the most money. And I guess studios are now looking for other properties that they can kind of get the user hooked to the IP in one format, the easy format, passive format of maybe watching a movie or watching a TV show, and then plugging them into a game where they're spending $50, $60, $70, $80 off bat, and then have 3 DLCs and pay a monthly subscription.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way forward. I love the show. I'm excited for the game. Hope that the show gets renewed for more seasons. But if we get the game, I'll be there on day 1.
Yeah, I guess let me give you just a quick. So 2 more seasons of Wheel of Time or the AAA game. Which would you choose?
Well,
no. Just which would you choose?
A AAA game?
Yeah.
Like a 100-hour experience?
Yeah, 50 to 60 hours experience. Probably coming in 3 or 4 years. Probably for the PS5.
You know what I think is important about this, though? I'm gonna say just off that premise, game,
yeah.
But I think that what has made the property so relatable and so special has not just been the writing, has not just been the world.
Yeah.
It's been the way that they've told the story, and also the actors who've worked on this have really given some stellar performances. Yeah. So I think some of the set pieces maybe lend themselves to video games because they're extremely complex and huge. Yeah. But at the same time, I think that the show is what has made it right now.
Yeah.
I have read through the first book.
But where we are now, right? You would choose AAA is what you said.
Well, with the premise of your question, if I'm going to only get 2 seasons of the show versus a game...
No, so we have the 3 seasons we currently have, right? Uh-huh. Say the producers are deciding, where do we put this money? Do we put the money into creating 2 more seasons? Or do we put the money into creating a AAA game?
But they can't finish a story in 2 seasons, so that's why I'm saying, like... Okay, like, people are... The original plan apparently was 6 to 7 seasons.
Yeah.
To finish a story, because the story is massive.
Yeah.
So, if we can't get the whole 2 seasons, is not going to finish the story. And I don't.
How much did it cost? Did 1 season cost? Right.
I'm not sure. Let me try to look it up.
We don't have to, like maybe $100 million. I'm not saying, because I think that you bring up a completely different point of like, you want justice to the story. We're never going to get justice to the story, in the sense of.
So I just looked it up. Apparently, $100 million per season.
Yeah. So I think 2 seasons, $200 million. That's probably the cost of a AAA game. That's probably how they're thinking. They're not thinking, well, how many seasons do I need to commit to do the story justice? I don't think they're thinking of the story. I think they're thinking of the profit, right? So they're not saying, well, can we do the story in 2 seasons? No, they're thinking, we have the story. How much profit would 2 seasons give us? And then if they think that's more profitable than AAA, they will find a way to cram the story into 2 seasons. We saw that with Game of Thrones. We saw that with all these other tips.
Well, Game of Thrones got 8 seasons.
Yeah, but then it got, well, that's its own story.
Yeah, but I think I see what you're saying. I see your angle. And I think that, there is a different incentive for them because they get to have people subscribed for the whole year kind of based off of this, right?
Yeah.
And so...
You think people are subscribing to Amazon just for Wheel of Time?
Yes. Yes. Because people have been waiting for 30 years to see some of this stuff brought to film, brought to visual. And like I said, some of the set pieces, some of the things that happen in this series, the visually seeing it is jaw-dropping. Yeah. It's something kind of like you've never seen before. And I really want to compare it to Dune. Like, to anybody who's seen like the 80s version of Dune, then the 90s version of Dune, and modern Dune will know what I'm saying when it's like, there are things that in this version of Dune that they couldn't do back then, and to see it now is so exciting. There are things in the 80s version of Dune that are wild.
Yeah.
And it's great that they got to put those things to film. And so I think that people are subscribing. And so you get to keep a subscriber who's potentially paying, $15, $20, a month, mm-hmm. versus a one-time buyer who might be paying $60 or $70. Yeah. That you'd have to convince to keep, purchasing a DLC or something like that. And then you'd have to deal with, a lot of scrutiny with that transition. We've already transitioned to a video to a TV show, and I think they've done a good job, and most people agree. And, I just love the show, so I'm getting so into this. But I think that if we got a AAA game, I would love it.
Yes. So you would pick the AAA game? Is what you
well,
said. No, stop. You're going to defend. I know that you...
I want 6 more seasons of the show.
Said, you would choose the AAA game, even if that's not what you... Even if you would want some clarification, I'm not going to give it to you. You don't get to clarify that statement. You chose the AAA game.
True.
Let's talk about what we've been gaming this week. I mean, honestly, this has been a little bit of light gaming week for us. I think we just got off this high of finishing Super Mario Mon. We've been playing these games that have really been captivating our attention. Clair Obscura.
Expedition 33.
Yes, and South of Midnight. This week, I think...
you made a lot of progress in South of Midnight.
I did make a lot of progress in South of Midnight. I think it's the type of game where you just let yourself get absorbed into it, and then all of a sudden you play 2-3 hours, right?
Yep.
But we did try out a new game today, or this week, right? It called Blueprints.
Yep.
Right, which, first of all, I love the name, right? Blueprints, Prince as in King Prince, and then you have Blueprints, like an architecture.
Yep.
Blueprints, sheet. I have this little tag right here. This is what they say on Steam, right? Blueprints breathes new life into both the adventure and roguelike genres with its free-form gameplay structure, intricate puzzle design, and intriguing lore. Right, and I think that's a great entry point into how we would describe the game, right, from what we saw it. But first, what were our initial impressions, right? We saw some trailers, we saw, this tagline, right? What do we think of this game?
Well, actually, I had not seen any trailers or any tagline when I first heard of the game. Out of nowhere, just on gaming forums and on Reddit, a lot of people a lot of threads popped up. Blueprints. I love it. Everybody's playing it. Then next thing I know, it was in the top 10 trending for Steam. And, everybody was like, you have to play this. It's like the most amazing thing. I think outside of Claire Obscura Expedition 33, this is a game that also caught a lot of people by surprise. And so everybody was talking about it and suggesting it. And so initially, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was another AAA game.
Yeah, I was also a little bit confused because it was like roguelike, but also had these very strong puzzle elements. People are saying that it really was like a mental game almost. But from what I was seeing from the gameplay, I saw people started playing the game. It looked interesting. It seemed like it was close to like all these other types of like Hades and stuff like that, right? Where you're choosing things as you're going through different rooms. But I was definitely excited to play it, right? And we were going to play it a few weeks ago, but then we caught up we saw all these other games that we were excited to play. We finally downloaded the game this week, and we turned it on. We actually played the side by side, so we were playing at the same time. We tried to see how are we progressing versus each other. Actually, I played on PlayStation, you played on PC.
Yep.
Graphically, they look pretty comparable.
Yep.
I think the performance was no issue for me.
Yep.
But as we're getting into the story, into the game, what were our first impressions, right? I think immediately what struck out to me was, this is a thinking game. This is a mental game. They even tell you in the game, tongue-in-cheek, of like, make sure you bring out a journal, write down your notes in person, so you keep track of them, because there is a lot to keep track of mentally, which I hadn't realized at all, right?
And you have to, like, it's mandatory.
Right, in order for you to be able to progress through the game. Which now I totally understand what this game is. It almost is like a mystery game, where you're a detective that's kind of now encapsulated it into a roguelike. I'm culturally, or like the vision of the game, right? Is that it is more mystery, more puzzle, less hack and slash, less roguelike elements. Like there's no fighting in the game, for example. From what I've seen so far, right?
Yeah.
So
and I think you're taking that roguelike from your experience with Hades.
Yeah. Or like even Hades, or like Slay the Spire, all these like even like card building games, even where you're choosing from like 3 different elements. Yeah. But so I played maybe a couple hours. You played 5-6 hours.
Yeah.
Well, what have been your impressions so far?
I think that this is unlike anything I've ever played before. And I'm having a lot of fun. And I think that the game so far has been, for me, more about the progression, as a lot of roguelikes are, or roguelites are. But I'm like kind of the type of person who will start playing a game and it either goes one of 2 ways. Either I pick some esoteric way to play through, and then I just stick with that because I'm like, well, I started this way, I'm just going to keep going until it doesn't work anymore. Yeah. Or I'm like trying to figure out what the metagame is and how to break it. Or like, is there some other way to get through it? And so I think my approach has been kind of like, initially I like went outside from the house. So like you go into the mansion or whatever.
You were trying to meta it a little bit.
Yeah, I was like looking everywhere else but the house. I'm like, there's something else here.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the developers foresaw that people would do that, and there was something out there that kind of was like, okay, get back on track. But
I do like that, the way that they've designed the story of having interactables that kind of guide you with story elements and.
Mm-hmm. And what's been your experience? What's been your approach?
My approach has been, I'm still in the phase of just trying to see what works. So I'm like, at first I was randomly choosing rooms, trying to figure out which one seemed optimal, which one seemed suboptimal. But then I'm realizing that way of playing leads to you to dead ends very quickly. So you really do have to be intentional about what rooms you're picking, what is the layout that you're designing, and then additional to that is this elements of puzzles and items gatherings
within the rooms. Yeah.
That then unlock other doors and other progressions through the house. I'm just coming to realize that there are a lot of elements to the game that kind of interface with each other.
Yep.
Right. So choosing the rooms and the orientations then dictates what elements you have, which then dictates what other rooms you can go into, which then dictates what other rooms you can choose.
Yeah.
So it really is like a one decision then has huge ramifications for the rest of the game, right? And vice versa, where if you choose the wrong decision, then it can be impossible to beat the game.
Yeah, and we don't know if there is a beating the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Yet.
Neither of us has finished the game. Neither of us knows exactly what the ending entails.
Right. Or how the game evolves as you go forward. Right now we are just trying to get to the antechamber.
Yes.
And I've gotten really close.
And whether or not that's the ending, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. I was thinking about, how what you were just saying about like how you your choices dictate more than just what they seem to be dictating when you make them.
Right. Which is something that you learn as you progress through the game, right? So as my first playthrough, I'm like, I like bedrooms. I like hallways. And then slowly you're like, oh, wait a minute. If I put the bedroom here, that means that I can get this. But then if I choose the hallway, that allows us. So it's almost like a mental game, like chess.
Yep.
Where like you can play chess without knowing what chess is, just by moving the pieces and then losing.
Yep.
But then as you learn the game,
you start seeing the patterns.
You see the patterns. You see what are positives that you should do in certain situations, what are negatives you should do in certain situations, and then using that to proceed through the game. I'm not there yet. I'm still in the moving my pieces and hoping for the best.
And I think the developers encourage that, and it has to be that way. I think some of the game is didactic. It is teaching you. So I want to ask you, from your perspective, do you think that, from what you've experienced so far, do you think that you could have that it's possible to beat the game on day one?
On the first playthrough? On what?
On day one.
On day one? Oh, on day one?
Yes.
It's like within the game there's concepts of days, right?
Yep.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think it's meant to be that you have to do it over multiple days.
I agree.
Unless there's like some type of god run where someone gets super lucky, technically it's possible, but you'd have to get everything correct. Or
yep. I'm sure after this we'll find somebody who's done it.
I am going through this debate internally of, do I first finish the game or do I first learn more about the game? Because I'm so interested to see people's playthroughs. I'm so excited to see like speed runs. Yeah. What is a speed run? Yeah. Right. What are
but the game is also teaching you. So yeah. The game itself will show you some of that, and it has shown me some interesting things. And what this game oddly reminds me of?
What?
Returnal.
Yes, actually.
It's like a 2D non-combat version of Returnal.
You're right. I guess here's one thing that I did like is this idea of having I would say there's two different types. Like there's like you have Slay the Spire, right, which is kind of this roguelike, but there really isn't interactables. You don't interact through a world. It's all kind of on the surface a table sheet. And then you have something like Returnal, right, which is very high fidelity, open world. And I'm thinking maybe Blueprints is kind of the middle of the two.
Well, Returnal isn't open world, but it's
describe how you describe it.
It's like zones.
Yeah. Or like very, very worlds that you interact with, that you go through, you can explore, you fight enemies, right? Compared to Slay the Spire, which is strictly card-based.
Yep.
Right. And I think this is a nice blend of the two, right?
But
I'm also excited to play the game because there's no fighting yet. I do think that's a nice... how do you get this roguelike elements without having to have a battle system?
Yeah, but I think, one of the reasons why I say that it's like Returnal is because the game is very difficult.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and, I mean, but
But you know what? When I played the Returnal that first time, I almost won.
I don't,
I had
I
like
don't know about that.
I had like a beginner's god run or something. They gave me some beginner's luck.
Yeah, I remember our hours of Returnal very well, both separately and playing together. Because remember, we played together.
Never mind.
But no, I think the game is very difficult, but also extremely enjoyable. And although neither one of us made it to the end of Returnal,
Yeah.
that was one of the things I really loved about it. Is that is the more runs, the more times I went through, the more I learned. Even if there were some things that prevented me from moving forward, I always had a good time. And that's what's so surprising about this is this game has really figured out a way to make doing the same thing so fun that you just won't stop. You'll just keep doing it over and over.
And let's see if we're going to be able to finish the game. I think definitely you're getting very close to
Something.
maybe beating the game. I think once I learn
I don't think it's the end.
Or at least progressing through the game. I'm still on my baby steps. But I'm excited to play more. I want to see if I can get to where you've gotten to in the game. And then maybe we could beat the game.
Yep. And so with that, Blueprints is our current thing. Do you have any thoughts about what our next thing is going to be after Blueprints?
Our next game? Honestly, I'm feeling a little bit indie. Like, we've done some big budget games. We've done some flashy games. Flashy, like, visual games.
Yep.
I'm thinking maybe... Let's give us something that's going to be like... That was garbage.
No!
No?
No.
Okay.
I mean, well, maybe.
No, we'll see maybe something that... Yeah. This
I
should have
found
been
like
garbage, but I loved it.
an LGBT visual novel game
Ah, yes.
that I've been meaning to share. I'm not gonna say what it is yet, but like something that's really chill, a couple of hours and a different experience. Because we've been going kind of hardcore for this last couple of episodes and last couple of weeks and months.
No, that's. I mean, I definitely love these narrative experiences. South of Midnight had strong elements of that.
But even South of Midnight is not easy.
Yeah, no. I love that we're seeing a widening of what can gameplay offer, right? Not just focused on fighting, but all these other elements of visual, story, narratives, puzzles. And we'll do that. We will find a game.
So I did want to ask about Blueprints before we wrap up. What was your save point and what was your sass?
Oh, my save
so
point
far?
and my sass? Well, my save point would be honestly the aesthetics of going through the rooms. Right? I think that's like a tiny... it doesn't actually add too much to the gameplay, but it adds to your immersion into the world.
Yeah.
Right? So they could have easily just had this all be 2D oriented. You're going through, you're choosing rooms, you're automatically collecting items, and then you're proceeding to the next room. But they intentionally made this immersive environment where you select a room, you immediately are able to enter it, you physically interact with the rooms, you physically go left, right, forward, pick up items. I think that's my save. My save point. My sass, honestly... writing things down in a physical space. Like, wouldn't it be so cool if you had a journal in the game and like you could click like record and then it jots down the information that you wanted to record?
That might have been a little cumbersome though.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, but I think it's like it's a sass in that like I'm kind of shook that I have to do it. But I think that's part of the game. Some of the games you should be sassed. Right?
Yeah.
Without sass, sass is an element of love, maybe.
Yep.
And what about for you? What would be your save point and what would be your sass?
I think that my save point so far is the there's certain type of rooms, I don't know if you encountered them, but they're rooms that have puzzles and games within them.
Yes.
So we've talked about how like the game is like a puzzle itself, but then you go into these rooms and then there's more games and more puzzles, and they have been really fun and challenging. I think my sass is that I wish that when you placed the rooms, that the outside of the house actually changed with what you put.
That would be
So,
interesting.
I mean, I have been checking, and like if you see, if you see the outside of the house, it looks like.
Some dev is just wondering, why does this guy keep going back and forth between the house and the outside?
Oh yeah, they're looking at the player data.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm like trying to see like, is it changing, or is it not changing? And one time I like looked, I was like, wait, did it change? But yeah, that's like my sass point is I wish that like when you actually change the rooms, that the outside of the room reflected that.
And this is such a like a minor critique.
Yeah,
that
it
makes
is.
it seem it just confirms how strong of a game this has been for you so far.
Yep.
But I love it. We'll see if that changes next week as you continue to progress through the game. But until then, stay petty. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.